Hey guys, Dr. Paul here, hanging out with Brian Capra, owner, creator, developer of Genesis. And as many of you know, we've incorporated this into our practices. And just want to do a quick interview with Brian, just kind of talk about the benefits of why we switched from our previous system and let him really explain things better than I would, because I'm not a tech guy and Brian's a tech guy. And I think he will help give a better understanding of the benefits of actually using his system. So Brian, welcome. Thanks, man, for jumping on the phone with me, or video, whatever
pleasure.
This is.
I really appreciate you doing this for Genesis. It's one of those things where you get lumped in with software companies or technology, and there's more to it. So
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain the differences in an elevator pitch to docs, but things like this where you're helping us get the message out, I really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I start off, let's tell them when did you start? Kind of how did this evolve for you? Like,
okay,
where did Genesis come from, right?
What was the genesis of Genesis?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Genesis, I was in practice. I graduated from life in 2002. Went down in Florida, worked in some really high volume practices down there. You know the guys. Then moved back to New Jersey, opened my practice, and was using your traditional type software. There's ones out on the market right now that are similar.
Yeah.
And I had a couple issues. One was managing my patient retention, and because I always had to go to reports, and I'd go out to I'd be somewhere outside the office, and I could never really leave it at the office. I'd remember a patient where
how I know that pain. The next morning you write it down. The next morning, hey Mary, where's John at? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you go. What do? As soon as you get to the office, you find out what happened. Oh, we didn't follow up on no-shows, or we didn't present the new care plan, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, man, when you're a chiropractor, that's just not a business thing. That hurts,
Yeah. Yep.
And
you can never shut the monkey off, right? It's a curse. It's like,
it hurts. It hurts. It's personal, right?
Yeah.
You take that thing, and now that's the emergency, right? Well, we didn't represent the new care plan. Well, that's the emergency. Let's talk about a process. Let's train on it, and that we get really good at until the next month when you lose another patient, and that reason is different. Now it's no shows we didn't follow up on. Now that's the emergency. Management by fire, and it's frustrating, and it's people's lives. In chiropractic, it's so much more to us, and to them, to the point where I actually had a patient that I lost, and I found out he committed suicide.
Wow.
And when I went to through the whole process, when I went back to the office and I looked at his chart, and we did almost everything wrong for him. His balances were wrong. We didn't do the no-shows weren't followed up on properly, and I just knew there had to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to use technology. And at the time, there really wasn't. It was kind of getting there. Technology was different back then. So the cloud was kind of just a thought, right? You didn't really think that that's something you could run a practice on. But and then I had a billing issue. I had my AR was all over the place. I had a billing company, and I couldn't, they would send me a paper report like that thick every month, and I wouldn't know what to do with it. I know I was getting money. I didn't know if it was what I was supposed to be getting paid, or or that
writing it off.
Or I was losing a ton of money. I had no way to know. There's no transparency. I'd send them a fax every day, or my staff did, of what I built that day, what I saw, the patients. Anyway, so I met two gentlemen. One was a CIO on Wall Street, one of the top 5 financial firms on Wall Street. His son, my practice was in Princeton, New Jersey. So his son was a Princeton grad, computer science. So I met them, and they were in technology. So they showed me a piece of technology they were actually building for billing insurance in the cloud, where you could submit your claim. The claim went all the way to the insurance company and all the way back from the insurance company, posted automatically, as you know now. Posted automatically, and then so you could see the whole process. You could see exactly where your accounts receivable numbers were in real time. Drill in, look at a claim, see what they were saying to insurance companies. The notes were all there. So I had 2 different systems. I had a practice management system, and then I had this billing technology. And what I learned with the billing technology was, with this in the cloud, is that the way it worked really is that it was building rules, so that if a claim was incorrect going out, or when it came back from the insurance company, the technology was able to look at every single claim and every possible reason why somebody would need to do something about it. And so the claim would get pulled, and this still works, that your biller, or if you're outsourcing it, the outsourced person, and you have that flexibility. But they know exactly what they're supposed to do. Here's the claim, here's why it's here, go call and follow up. So there's no more looking through reports. So when I saw that, I immediately knew that this patient that I missed, if I had a system that was looking at all my patient charts, which are in essence reports, and rather than me and my team having to go to the different reports every single day, going to find the work, just like an aging report, and it would find what would be showing us that the patient was at risk for leaving, for never coming back. They had no-shows, that were they had a no future appointment, they had a care plan that was about to expire, something like that, where my team didn't have to go look for work all day, it would just come to them. I'm like, that's the solution to being proactive about patient retention and compliance ultimately, and your billing. And so when I saw that, we formed a billing company. We started billing. I don't know if you know this, but we started as a company called Billing Precision.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah. So and then we solved the billing issue first, and giving a doctor transparency and control that way. And then we started building the front end engine with this more proactive way to manage the patient retention and compliance than what is today with every other system, reactive management. So that's the short, long story of how I got started.
Right.
So here we are.
So part of our when we switched a few years back, part of what intrigued and I thought it was cool was kind of what you're talking about there, just briefly. And so maybe explain a little bit more, like the artificial intelligence, like you, when I got excited, like I'm not only helping my practice, but the other, how many ever clients of Genesis are continuously helping my practice by submitting claims that get kicked back, and you guys, the brain and the sky automatically adjusts and adapts, continuously every day, every second. And so explain that a little bit.
Yeah, well, the beauty of it is it's very much in line with chiropractic principles and philosophy. And so it's not just that it's in the cloud. That's cool, because for all the things like we talked about earlier, Paul, it's like you can get to it from anywhere. You can see numbers and reports, and you can access it from any time on multiple, it can be a Mac or a P. That's all cool stuff. But what's really cool about it is what's called the network effect, or I like to think of it as a shared immunity. I think that might be what we talked about earlier.
Okay, there you go.
So, what the way it works.
You're telling me you got the chicken pox, and I came and gave you a hug, so I got the chicken pox, so I'm stronger too.
It's better than that. Yeah. Yeah, right. You never even had to go through the suffering. Yeah. Just because I had it, you're now immune.
Yep. Okay.
So think of that from a billing perspective. We learned something that happens in Dr. Paul's practice about how the insurance companies, because they're constantly changing the game, right? Yep. So they're constantly changing, tweaking things, trying to keep us off guard. Now, we learned something about that. We build a rule into the system so that if that claim needs follow, a good example was, it didn't happen years ago as much as it does now. Insurance companies love to underpay you. Yeah. They pay you, but all of a sudden they paid you $40 for that same code at that same carrier for that same plan last month. Now they pay you, $39. No biller would find that. Yeah. Right. Because it looks paid, it came back in the system, it posted, and all that stuff. You'd have to memorize every possible combination. Anyway, so we built in rules and automation into the system that finds that. Let's say we learned that in Paul's practice, and we build that rule in because of what we learned in Paul's practice. Everybody on the network, called the network effect or shared effect. Yeah. It means everybody gets that advantage. And that goes for everything in the system, every feature, every functionality. We're building it on, it's kind of like building an airplane while you're flying. But the benefit is we're not building it on just what we think customers will buy. We build it based on feedback from the gurus, the Pauls, the Zanos, and all these guys that, they do this at a high level. So yeah, that's the network effect.
Well, and that benefits every doc, right? Because he's having his learning curve goes down, or his team's learning curve goes down because of that experience. So that's good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Saves them tons of time, not just in learning, but also in the efficiency of a practice, to the point where you hit the button at the table, like, the claim goes to the insurance company all the way back, and you don't have to look at an aging report to find a claim. Yeah. I mean, how much time does that save?
Well, and like we were talking second ago. So that intelligence is kicking it back to your CA to make an immediate change to get that claim resubmitted,
Yes.
so that you get paid faster. Which at the end
Yeah.
of the day, we all have bills, we all have responsibilities, and we want our returns on our services provided to come back as fast as possible, and not 60, 90, 120 days